Have you ever watched an episode of The Twilight Zone or one of those old Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes? You know, the ones where at the end they always say, "Submitted for your approval." Well, today's story is one of those. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back and relax. And remember, don't eat the marshmallows. It was a cold November night in the small town of Holloway, a place where the houses huddled close together for warmth and the wind howled through the gaps in the old stone walls. The old saying was, if you didn't have a friend in Holloway, you really didn't have one at all. On this particular night, a young woman named Elara Bellwether was sitting in her room on the top floor of her family home. She was waiting for her father to come home so she could tell him about her discovery. Every day after school, she would walk home from Holloway High, down Blackwood Lane, a narrow road lined with twisted trees that seemed to reach out and grab at the houses like an old man trying to regain his youth. At the end of the lane was a wrought iron gate that marked the entrance to the Blackwood Manor. It had been abandoned for almost 100 years after the last of the Blackwood line died and left the estate to the town. Now it was run by the Holloway Historical Society, but no one ever went there anymore because, according to legend, the manor was cursed. Elara never believed in curses, so she and her friends would sneak over the wrought iron fence and explore the overgrown paths and broken terraces of the manor. One day she found a door hidden by ivy. It was an old wooden door, and when she pushed it open, it creaked like a tired old man. The door led to a small pantry, but there was more to it than met the eye. Behind some loose bricks was a small keyhole, and when Elara inserted the key she found in the lock, it turned. The wall behind it swung open, revealing a dark, narrow staircase leading down into the ground. Of course, her friends told her it was just her imagination, but she knew there was something down there. Something was calling to her. Today was the day her father, who was the local historian, was going to unlock the mystery of the Blackwood Manor. He had been researching the history of the house for months now, and had finally uncovered some long-lost documents which revealed the location of the hidden key. When he arrived home, Elara would tell him everything she had discovered. Then they would go to the manor together, and he would help her explore the tunnels. But when her father came home that night, the look on his face made Elara's blood run cold. He looked pale and shaken, as though he had seen a ghost. He went straight to his study without even acknowledging Elara's presence. She followed him and knocked on the door. "Come in," he said, his voice hollow and distant. Elara opened the door and gasped. Her father was standing by the window with his back to her, staring out into the night. The documents lay scattered on the floor. "Dad, is everything okay?" she asked. Her father didn't answer. He continued to stare out the window as though he could see through the glass. Elara approached him cautiously and touched his shoulder. He flinched and turned around. His eyes were wide and filled with fear. "Stay away from me," he whispered. "Stay away from Blackwood Manor." Elara was taken aback by his sudden outburst. She had never seen him so scared. "What's wrong, Dad? What's at Blackwood Manor?" Before her father could respond, a loud crash came from downstairs. They both jumped and stared at each other in terror. Then her father, as if suddenly realizing something, rushed to the door and flung it open. "Get out of here! Elara!" he yelled. "Get away while you can." He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the stairs. "Please, Dad, I want to help," she cried. But her father shook her off and ran out the front door. Elara stood there frozen in fear as she heard the sound of her father's footsteps pounding down the street. Suddenly, she understood. The curse was real, and whatever was in those tunnels had taken her father. Now, she could do nothing but scream his name as the darkness enveloped her. "Remember, Don't eat the marshmallows. The end.